Hello there, my name is Hydo and welcome back to the Pantheon, where today we're going to be diving into Streets of New Capenna. I missed all this because I was on holiday, but here we are, we're having a look at some of the Commander cards. And our first one, well, he's quite cool, he's Henzie, Toolbox, Torre. I believe that's how you pronounce it. If it isn't, I don't really care. Anyway, he's Jund, 3/3 Devil Rogue. Each creature spell you cast has mana value 4 or greater has Blitz. The Blitz cost is equal to its mana cost. So you can choose to cast it for this spell. If you do, it gains haste, and when this creature dies, draw a card, sacrifice it at the beginning of the next end step. Blitz cost you pay costs 1 less to cast for each time you've cast your commander from the command zone. Boo, that bit really does depress me, but we're going to be able to cast it a lot of times. You know, lots of mana, lots of like cheeky ways to cheat on it. But this is a really cool card, and you know, being able to blitz things out, it can really turn a game around very quickly. We could easily end up winning out of nowhere by just blitzing a ton of things from our hand. And so, you know, quite cool, and we're going to be drawing cards as well. Do you know what else is cool? This channel. Please subscribe. I need you. You could become part of my collective. But, you know, if you want like this sort of thing, please do consider subscribing. Without further ado, let's have a look at my top 5, though. And at number 5, we've got Myth Unbound. And all of these cards are about making our commander cost less and casting it over and over again. So 3 mana for an enchantment. Your commander costs 1 less to cast for each time it's been cast from the command zone this game. So it turns command tax from 2 mana to 1. And whenever a commander is put into the command zone from anywhere, draw a card. So we are going to be sacrificing our commander quite a bit to recast it, you know, to reduce those blitz costs. So this is a wonderful card. Card advantage. It's like giving our commander blitz, you know, drawing cards. Ooh, amazing. But really cool card. And if we've got our commander on the field and we're using our commander a lot, Jeska's Will is phenomenal. 3 mana for a sorcery, choose 1. If you control a commander as you cast the spell, you may choose both. Add red for each card in target opponent's hand. So this could make us upwards of 7 mana, which is ridiculous. And then exile the top 3 cards of your library. You may play them this turn. Absolutely fantastic. So much advantage. Amazing. And really, we're going to be casting our commander for 9, 11, 12, 13, 18, 54 mana. This is something that we need to really accelerate us in the late game. Then we've got Geode Golem, 5 mana, 5/3 with Trample. When it deals combat damage to a player, you may cast your commander from the command zone without paying its mana cost. You still pay any additional cost, so you are going to have to pay the command tax, but not the worst thing in the world. At least we're getting our commander out there for a reduced rate. And a 5 mana, 5/3, well, it is bad, but it's not the worst thing I've ever seen in my life. Then we've got the Flamekin Herald. If we're casting our commander a lot, let's cascade and get some value. 3 mana, 3/2 commander spells you cast have Cascade. Hey! We're going to be digging through our deck and getting free spells for doing what we want. Although a lot of our cards are going to be for CMC greater because of the blitz thing. I suppose the cool thing about Geode Golem, now that I think about it, we can blitz this out if our commander's on the field. You know, sack it, recast it, all those sorts of shenanigans. But Flamekin Herald, lots of value. Then we've got Commander Beacon. Sometimes we're going to have got our commander killed 8, 9 times, and we just can't cast it for the 28 mana or whatever it is. But sacrifice Command Beacon, put your commander into your hand from the command zone. So yes, this doesn't add to the sort of count for removing blitz, but it's going to allow us to get our commander onto the field, which is the most important thing, really. Because from our hand, we can just pay the Jund and cast it for that. Then, similarly, we got Road to Return. Double green for a sorcery. Choose 1. Return target permanent card from your graveyard to your hand. So that's quite good. You know, rebuy one of our good creatures that's died. Or put a commander into your hand from the command zone. So again, we're cheating that cost if we really need to. And then you can entwine it for 2 mana, so 4 mana total. And we get both. Ooh, lovely. Then we've got Skullstorm. If we're going to be casting our commander a lot, we may as well get a massive payoff for it. It's 9 mana for a sorcery. You can only cast this spell, copy it for each time you've cast your commander from the command zone this game. So that fits very well with the theme we're going for. Each opponent sacrifices a creature. Each opponent who can't loses half their life, rounded up. So really you want to follow this up after a board wipe and then just chew away at your opponent's life total. Amazing card for finishing the game, and nice bit of artwork as well. So a nice commander-based package. God. Keeping on with the packages. But that brings me on to number 4. And at number 4, we've got sacrifice outlets that net us mana. So Sol Devi Adnate? God only knows. 2 mana for a 1/2. That's good enough to start with. Tap, sacrifice a black or artifact creature to add an amount of black equals that creature's casting cost to your mana pool. Play this ability as an interrupt. So that means nothing these days. You can just activate it whenever you want. Interrupts don't exist anymore. Or they've been sort of merged into cards with flash and instants. But this is great because we can sack our commander to get 3 mana, because our commander's always going to be 3 mana. Or we can sack a massive creature that maybe we've blitzed out to get a ton of mana to blitz out a bunch of other things. Really, really awesome card. Then there's a Metamorphosis. 1 green for a sorcery, sacrifice a creature to add an amount of mana equal to its casting cost +1 to your mana pool. This mana maybe can only be 1 color. Use mana only to cast summon spells. So that's fine because Blitz is casting a summon spell. So we could turn one of our 5 drops into 5 Blitz cards potentially if we've got enough reduction. Really, really awesome card. And for a single green mana, we can have this poor man be turning into a snake. Then there's Burnt Offering, a very similar card. 1 black, interrupt. Hey, interrupts are back. Sacrifice a creature to add that creature's casting cost in any combination of red and or black mana to your mana pool. So we just sacrifice a creature, loads of mana. Absolutely fantastic. And the artwork is atrocious, but I love it. It just seems so amateurish, you know, and it really feels quite cool. But then we've got a Ruthless Technomancer, which is a similar card, but it works with a Blitz theme because it is for CMC. It's a 2/4 human wizard. When it enters the battlefield, you may sacrifice another creature you control. If you do, create a number of treasure tokens equal to that creature's power. So if we've got a massive creature, we can make tons of mana. Then you can pay 3, sacrifice X artifacts, so they could be the treasures we've made. Return that creature with power X or less from your graveyard to the battlefield. X can't be 0. So this is an all-in-one card. We could blitz it out for a single black mana, sacrifice a massive idiot or a commander, which is also an idiot, to get lots of mana, generate tons of value, recast our commander. So many things we can do with that card. Then a couple of sort of lighter options here. We've got Deadly Dispute. 2 mana for an instant. Additional cast to cost this spell. Sacrifice an artifact or creature. So our commander's gonna go by. Draw 2 cards and create a treasure token. So we're rebuying the mana really that we spent to cast this, or -1. But the cool thing about treasures is we can store them for later turns. So we can get a really big boost on one specific turn. And just drawing cards, always good. At least that's what I've heard. And the cool thing with Blitz is if you sacrifice the Blitz card, you're going to draw a card of that creature dying anyway. So there's just lots to love. Then a very expensive card, but a very good one here with Phyrexian Altar. 3 mana for an artifact, sacrifice creature, add 1 mana of any colour. Really, really cool. Gets you up there in terms of mana. And all of these can help us cast our commander once more. Then there's Ruthless Knave. Not the best of sack outlets, but it's really cool because it ramps you. 3 mana, 3/2, 3 mana and sack a creature, creates 2 treasure tokens. Sacrifice 3 treasures, draw a card. So if we're really sort of desperate to sacrifice a commander and get a big boost of mana, we can sacrifice to this. Really, really good. So a nice sacrifice collection of cards, not a package, although I just said package anyway. That brings me on to number 3. And at number 3, well, what have we got? We've got Bard class. And this is more about mana really as well. It's about reducing the cost of our commander. 2 mana, legendary creatures you control enter the battlefield with an additional 1/1 counter on them. You can pay 2 to level it up. Legendary spells you cast cost 2 less to cast, a red and a green. This effect reduces only the amount of coloured mana to pay. So our commander, the first time we cast it, will cost a single black. This reduces our commander's cost by at least 2. Amazing, amazing card. And if we're playing this sort of card, we can build around it by building a lot of legendary creatures into the deck. Whenever you cast a legendary spell, you also exile the top 2 cards of your library. You may play them this turn, although I don't think you can blitz them. I think that's only from your hand. I can't remember that. But if we're playing a lot of legendaries, let's make lots of mana with legendaries. Claws. I don't know how you say that. Unrivaled Ancient is a 7 mana 4/4 with flying and haste. When it attacks, add X mana in combination of colours, where X is the total power of attacking creatures. Spend this mana only to cast spells until end of turn. You don't lose that mana as steps and phases end. So again, we could blitz this out for potentially 0 mana if we've, cast our commander 5 times and we've got Bard classed on the field. And then we're just going to be getting 4/3 mana when we attack. And we're going to be attacking with lots of other blitz cards. This will make tons and tons of mana. Then there's Grand Warlord Rada. 4 mana 3/4 with haste, elf warrior. Whenever one or more creatures you control attack, add that much mana in combination of red and green. Until end of turn, you don't lose mana as the steps and phases end. Really, really good. Again, accelerates you, and we're getting a big reduction on this from the class. Then there's Torre, the Incinerator. 6 mana, 6/6 flying. Beginning of your end step, you may sacrifice another creature. When you do, it deals damage equals that creature's power to any target, and you create 3 treasures. If we sacrifice our commander, well, guess what? We got three treasures to cast him again next turn. Really, really good. Works fantastically in the deck. Then here are a couple of other just legendary creatures that we want to blitz in, get their effects straight away, and then we're happy to sacrifice them. Kobold Fade Cursed King, 5 mana, 4/4 flying. When it enters the battlefield or attacks, sacrifice another permanent. That seems pretty bad, but there's more. Whenever you sacrifice a permanent, put a 1/1 counter on Kobold and draw a card. So that works excellently with Blitz, because when we come to the end step with all our Blitz cards, we're going to be sacrificing them. So Kobold will see that, we'll draw tons of cards as well as the cards that we draw from Blitz anyway, just raining value down upon us. Then another big dragon, we've got the Victus Asmadi. What a bizarre name. The Dire. It's a dire naming convention. It's an Elder Dragon with flying. And when it attacks, for each player, choose target permanent that player controls. That player sacrifices those permanents. Each player who sacrifices a permanent this way reveals the top card of the library and puts it onto the battlefield, if it's a permanent card. So the great thing is we can just sacrifice a treasure, potentially get a big dragon off the top. Our opponents, we hit whatever their biggest threat is. Amazing. And because it's sacrifice, it gets around indestructible. So, those Ulamogs and things like that, we can sacrifice them. Great card. And then we've got a not so great card, but I think it fits really well. Daragaz, Reincarnated. 7 mana for a 7/7 with flying, trample, and haste. Well, if it would die, instead exile it with 3 egg counters on it. Egg counters. Eggy, eggy, eggy. Oi, oi, oi. At the beginning of your upkeep, if it is exiled with an egg counter on it, remove an egg counter from it. Then, if it has no egg counters on it, return it to the battlefield. So, we can blitz this out for potentially like 2-3 mana. Then, when it comes to the end step and we sacrifice it to blitz, it just goes away with a couple of egg counters on it. And then, in a couple of turns, we'll get it back, swing in again because it has haste. It's just a cool card that fits the theme of the deck. So, a nice collection of legendaries for you there if you'd so desire to go down that route. Then let's have a look at my number 2. And at number 2, we've got ways of cheating things into play, because our commander, obviously we're building the deck around it. We want to blitz in as many things as possible. But our commander, it will become out of reach sometimes. Maybe it becomes a forest, someone turns it into a forest with that enchantment thing. Path to Forest, I can't remember what it's called. 3 mana aura. Return to Nature? No, that's the Destroy Enchantment. Anyway, you know what I mean. And if you don't, maybe someone will comment what I mean. Anyway, we want to be able to cheat things in without our commander. And Ilhag the Razebore is a fantastic option. 5 mana, 6/6 trample. So, we can blitz it if we so desire. When it attacks, you may put a creature card from your hand onto the battlefield tapped and attacking. Return that creature to your hand at the beginning of the next end step. So getting a wonderful effect here because we're getting the enter the battlefield effect off it. And then we can reuse it again once it's bounced, we can recast it. And when it dies, or is put into exile from the battlefield, you may put it into its owner's library, third from the top. So we can rebuy it, and draw it in a couple of turns, and then we'll blitz it again. There's so many different uses for this card, and it's wonderful. Just cheating things into play, always good fun. Then, if you're going for a sort of more focused and sort of red and artifact-based deck, Perforos Bronze Blooded fits really well. 5 mana for a 7/6 Indestructible God. As long as your devotion to red is less than 5, it isn't a creature, and other creatures you control have haste. Hey, so we can just swing in straight away. But the meat of this card is 3 mana. You may put a red creature or an artifact creature card from your hand onto the battlefield, sacrifice it at the beginning of the next end step. So it's like Blitz Light. We're not drawing the card, but we just get to put it in. And, it also gets around things like counter spells, which could really hinder your game plan with a Blitz. Someone could just counter your Blitz card and then you don't get it. But with these sort of effects, we're putting it straight into play. Then a slightly different take on this, and one that doesn't particularly fit well into the deck, but could help you out, is Swift Warkite. 6 mana for a 4/4 dragon with flying, so it could be blitzed. When it enters the battlefield, you may put a creature card with converting mana cost 3 or less from your hand or graveyard onto the battlefield. That creature gains haste. Return it to your hand at the beginning of the next end step. So the reason I like this card is because if our commander is in our hand, or our graveyard potentially if we've let it go there, this can bring it back straight onto the battlefield, and then we can blitz a ton of other cards in while our commander's there for those few fleeting moments. So a really nice way of generating a lot of value. A good card, and the artwork, and look at the lightning coming off its wings. It looks so cool. Then to finish off, we got Cauldron Dance. I don't think that's exactly what a Cauldron Dance would look like, but that's my interpretation. 6 mana for an instant, play only during combat. Return target creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield. That creature gains haste. Return it to your hand at the beginning of the next end step. And you may put a creature card from your hand onto the battlefield. That creature gains haste. That its control, sacrifice it at the beginning of the next end step. So it's a nice little switcheroo. So anything that you blitzed out and sacrificed, well, now you can bring it back, recast it. So good. We're getting a nice big sort of attack in there. Brilliant card. Really, really good. We get all the enter the battlefield effects. Works wonderfully with this deck. And those are sort of some nice cheaty ways of getting things into play. Which brings me on to number 1. And at number 1, well, we've got a card that I always thought was trash, but I really like it for this deck. It's Verdant Eidolon. Hey! Did you see that one coming? No, I didn't. But it's a 4 mana, so we can blitz it. 2/2 Spirit. You pay a green to sacrifice it, add 3 mana of any one colour. Whenever you cast a multicolored spell, you may return Verdant Eidolon from your graveyard to your hand. So this is not the most exciting card in the world, but I think it just works so well in this deck. So we can sacrifice it, if we've blitzed it. If we've cast our commander 3 times, we're blitzing it for a single green mana. Then we can sacrifice it for whatever colour we want, so we're netting a mana there. We're drawing a card from the blitz, and because we're casting our commander so much, it's a multicoloured card, and a lot of our other cards are multicoloured. We're going to be rebuying this back to our hand. We can blitz it again. It just fits so nicely into this deck. It's such a cool card, and this is the sort of reason I started doing this channel, for little interactions like that are so fitting but not particularly powerful. And this just works wonderfully. I love it. It's just perfect for the deck. You can churn through your deck, draw cards. This returns, makes mana. I love it. Brilliant, brilliant card. I love it. But let's have a look at another couple of cards that work well in the deck, that we might want to blitz out or just cast normally. 5 mana for a Garner. 3 mana, Human Warrior, Flash. When it enters the battlefield, return to your hand all creature cards in your graveyard that were put there from anywhere this turn. Other creatures you control have haste. So we can do this on the end step after we've sacrificed all our blitz cards, drawn a bunch of cards. return them all, and then just choose the best ones, Really, really nice card. And giving all our creatures haste. If we don't want to be blitzing our cards and sacrificing, we could just cast our spells, and then we can just attack straight away with the haste. Then, big massive idiot, Kozilek, Butcher of Truth. Excellent if we've got, got a 5 mana reduction on this, cast it for 5 mana, attack straight away with Annihilator 4. Oh, sorry, there's one thing before that. When we cast it, we draw 4 cards, and obviously Blitz is casting a spell. And when you sacrifice it, shuffles everything back into your library. Really, really nice. Oh, is this another great card that we could Blitz in? Ulamog the Infinite Giant. He just spins around. 11 mana for a 10/10. When you cast it, destroy a target permanent. Could be a land if you really hate your friends. Annihilator 4, so your opponents are sacrificing 4 permanents. And then, sack him, shuffle him in. Just a wonderful card. It's just so, so good. Then, let's make people miserable with our Mind Slicer. So, the cool thing about Blitz is we're going to be sacrificing the card. So, 4 mana for a 4/3 horror. When it's put into a graveyard from play, each player discards their hand. That's good, isn't it? Really, you only want to be doing this when we're ahead on board. If we're not, don't do it because everyone will just be miserable and then attack you to death. Make sure you're in a winning position before you deploy the Mind Slicer. Then, a Ruin Grinder. I had to get cycling in this deck somehow. 6 mana for a Construct, 7/4 with Menace. When it dies, each player may discard their hand and draw 7 cards. So if we cast our commander 5 times, this is 1 red to attack with a 7/4 Menace, and then we all discard our hands, draw 7. Really good fun. Yeah. Oh, and it's got Mountain Cycling, which is the main reason we want to play it. Then finally to finish off, Worldspine Worm, 11 mana, triple green. Creature Worm with Trample. It is a 15/15, which is nice. When it dies, put 3 5/5 green worms creature tokens onto the battlefield with Trample. And when it's put into a graveyard from anywhere, shuffle it into its owner's library. So the cool thing about this is it's going to leave back those residual worms, attacking 15, end up with 15 power. Excellent for Blitz. Oh, and we draw a card. Really, really cool. And that is my top sort of 27 cards, but I think they all work fantastically well with this commander. And if you like this sort of video, please do subscribe. I'm going to be making tons more content like this for, as many legendary creatures as I can get through. So come and join me on the journey. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you soon. Bye!